It was a Tuesday night in December. I was sitting inside my own apartment, wearing a jacket, gloves, and a scarf. Indoors. In a country I was told was tropical all year round. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't hold my coffee without spilling it. I moved to Hanoi thinking $1,000 a month would make me a king. I was wrong. And it wasn't the money that broke me. That night, I understood something no travel blog ever told me. And it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with what $1,000 can't buy, no matter how good the exchange rate looks. Before I landed, I did what every smart traveler does. I researched everything. I read guide after guide, all saying the same comforting thing. $900 to $1,100 a month, a comfortable apartment, great street food, fast Wi-Fi in every cafe, weekend trips to Halong Bay whenever you want. The numbers matched perfectly, over and over, on site after site. I felt confident booking that one-way ticket. Almost excited, honestly. I pictured motorbikes weaving through golden afternoon light, egg coffee on a tiny plastic stool, warm nights, warm people, a laptop, a lake view, and change left over every month. That was the video playing in my head on the flight over. But not a single guide mentioned what actually happens in December, or what $1,000 actually feels like once real life gets involved. My first cold night, I told myself I just needed one extra blanket. I was wrong. Vietnamese apartments don't have central heating. Not the cheap ones. Not most of the expensive ones either. The walls have almost no insulation. So even with the air conditioner switched to heat mode, the warmth leaks straight out through the walls and under the door. It disappears almost as fast as it appears. 10 degrees Celsius in Hanoi feels nothing like 10 degrees back home. It's a damp cold. The kind that doesn't just sit on your skin, it sinks into your bones and stays there. Expats who grew up with real winters, -15, -20 back home, all say the same strange thing. They could survive Europe. They couldn't survive this. I started noticing condensation on my windows every single morning. By March, thin lines of mold were creeping along the bathroom ceiling. No cost of living calculator warns you about that. A space heater, a dehumidifier, extra blankets, warm clothes I never even packed because I thought I was moving somewhere tropical. That's real money. Money that was never part of my $1,000 plan. If you're planning a move like this, budget an extra 10 to 15% for December through February. Not because the listed prices online are lying to you, because those prices silently assume you already own a winter life. I didn't own one. I had to buy one, piece by piece, in a country I was told never got cold. But winter wasn't even the part that scared me the most. One morning, I pulled back my curtains, and the sky outside wasn't blue. It wasn't even cloudy. It was thick, flat, gray, like a lid had been placed over the entire city. I checked the air quality app out of pure habit. The number read over 150. I checked again the next morning. Same story. And the morning after that. A friend of mine, another expat living near West Lake, told me she'd started sleeping with an air filtration mask on, just to get through the night without waking up coughing. That one sentence sat with me for weeks. You can escape the cold by hiding indoors under 3 blankets. You cannot escape the air you breathe. Winter in Hanoi brings something locals call a temperature inversion. Pollution gets trapped low over the city instead of rising and clearing away naturally. It's not one bad day here and there. It's weeks at a time, some years worse than others. On a 2-week vacation, you barely notice it. When it becomes your actual daily life, it hits you completely differently. I started avoiding my usual walk to the market. Not because it was far, because breathing hard on the way there didn't feel worth it anymore. And it's not just the sky, it's the sound. Hanoi traffic isn't the movie-style chaos people expect. No one is screaming. No one is crashing every 5 minutes. It's quieter than that, and somehow more exhausting. Horns all day. Engines idling under your window at midnight. A city that never fully goes silent. On a 2-week trip, it feels exciting, almost charming. As your daily background noise for months, it slowly grinds you down in a way you don't notice until you're already tired. So here's the real question nobody asks before booking that flight. What does $1,000 a month actually buy you in this city? And more importantly, what does it quietly take away from you? On paper, $1,000 covers rent, food, a co-working desk, and a little left over for fun. Here's exactly where mine went, the 1 month I actually sat down and wrote it out. $380 for rent, in a building with cracked tiles and a landlord who never once smiled. $210 for food, mostly noodles, egg coffee, and whatever greens were cheapest at the wet market that week. $90 for a co-working desk I used maybe half the days I paid for. $60 for motorbike gas and repairs I never saw coming. $50 set aside every month just for the next visa run. The rest disappeared into things I never even wrote down. That's the real number. Not a clean chart, a pile of small decisions that decide where you're allowed to live. The neighborhood every travel video shows you is Tay Ho, around West Lake. Trendy cafes. Lake views. A real, active expat community. Rent there alone can eat almost half of $1,000 monthly budget. So most people on a tight budget get pushed somewhere else entirely. Somewhere cheaper. Somewhere quieter. Somewhere far from the community you saw all over Instagram before you booked your flight. That same budget also quietly decides your healthcare. A private clinic visit in Hanoi runs $30 to $80. On a $1,000 monthly budget, that's not a small decision anymore. That's a moment where you sit on your bed and think twice before calling a doctor. I got food poisoning in my 2nd month. Nothing dramatic, just a bad street stall on an off day. I laid there doing math instead of resting. Public clinic, cheap, but a language barrier and a long wait. Private clinic, fast and comfortable, but a real dent in a budget that had no cushion left. That's the version of Hanoi nobody puts in the highlight reel. It decides how you get around too. A second-hand motorbike, repairs, gas, and basic insurance all eat into a budget that already had no room left to breathe. I still remember the apartment hunt. The agent showed me a bright, beautiful place first, exactly like the photos online. Then he saw my budget written on a sticky note. His face changed. The next 3 places were smaller, further from the lake, further from everything. No lake view, no rooftop, no neighbors who spoke English. Cheaper, yes, but a world away from the dream I'd been sold. The picture everyone sells you online is a life in Tay Ho, coffee in hand, lake breeze, laptop open. The picture $1,000 actually buys you is somewhere quieter, further out, and a lot more alone than the reels ever show. Then there was the visa. Vietnam still has no official digital nomad visa, not in 2026. Most long-term travelers rely on a 90-day e-visa, and when it runs out, they fly to a neighboring country and fly straight back in. It's called a visa run. It sounds simple until you're the one doing it, alone, with a suitcase, on a Tuesday. Every visa run costs $200 to $400 once you count the flight and a night in a hotel. And you can't extend it from inside the country. Your visa expires, you leave, no exceptions, no appeals. Here's the part that really got under my skin. Some travelers apply for the full 90 days and only get approved for 30. There's no guarantee, no explanation, just a number stamped on a screen. You end up planning your entire life around a decision you don't fully control. I remember checking my visa expiry date the exact way you'd check a countdown clock before an exam. Not relaxing, not the freedom I had pictured in my head before I left home. Just one more quiet thing, draining money and peace of mind out of a budget that was already stretched painfully thin. If you're seriously doing this, always leave buffer room around your expiry date. And try to treat the visa run like a mini trip instead of a chore. It really does soften the sting, even if it doesn't remove it. I still remember standing in line at the airport for one of these runs, watching backpackers around me laughing about their weekend in Bangkok. For them, it was an adventure. For me, it was $250 I hadn't planned to spend, coming straight out of a budget with nothing left to give. By February, I hit a point I'm honestly not proud of. I hadn't left my apartment in 2 days, not because I was busy, because it felt easier to stay under the blanket than face the cold, the gray sky, and another day of stretching money that was already gone by the 3rd week of the month. I sat on the edge of my bed one night, mold on the bathroom ceiling, a filtration mask sitting on the nightstand, unused but waiting, my visa countdown glowing on my phone screen in the dark, and I seriously thought about booking a flight home for good. Not a vacation, home, permanently. I remember thinking, is this really what people mean when they say Southeast Asia is cheap and easy? Because nothing about that specific night felt cheap, and nothing about it felt easy. No heating, no clean air some weeks, no guarantee my visa would even get approved for the length I needed, no savings left by day 20 of the month, just 100 tiny things nobody had ever warned me about, all landing on the same cold night. I didn't book that flight. 2 mornings later, an old woman who sold pho on the corner of my street noticed I hadn't shown up in a few days. She asked, through broken English and a lot of patient hand gestures, if I was sick. I told her I was just tired. She handed me a bowl anyway, steam still rising off it, and refused to take my money that morning. That small, ordinary bowl of soup on a cold gray morning did more for me than any budget spreadsheet ever could. That's the part nobody puts in a cost of living guide. The quiet kindness that shows up exactly when you're closest to giving up. And that's when I finally understood the real pattern underneath all of this. People who earn foreign income, live in a solid, well-built apartment, and rarely need the local systems, tend to truly love it here. People stretching $1,000, depending on cheap healthcare, cheap housing, and public infrastructure, carry a much heavier version of this exact same city on their shoulders. Same Hanoi. 2 completely different lives, running side by side, barely aware of each other. I used to see both kinds of expats at the same coffee shop. One would order the imported cheese platter without checking the price. The other, me, would do quiet math in my head before ordering a second coffee. Same table, same lake view. 2 entirely different versions of this city. I wasn't broke in Hanoi. I was just silently paying a cost that never once showed up on any price list I found online. A cost measured in cold nights, gray skies, and a visa countdown that never really let me relax. $1,000 didn't buy me comfort. It bought me survival, with a nice view. Survival dressed up as a lifestyle, filtered for the internet, and sold back to the next person booking a one-way ticket. And that's exactly why I'll never do it again. Not because the city failed me. Because I walked in with the wrong math, built on someone else's spreadsheet instead of my own reality. Hanoi isn't a cheap paradise, and it isn't a nightmare either. It's a city that demands you understand it fully before you hand it your last dollar. If I went back, I wouldn't choose a different city. I'd choose a different budget, a different season to arrive, and a very different set of expectations. That's the honest lesson, not avoid Hanoi, but arrive with your eyes open. Every viral thumbnail promising paradise for $1,000 left out the one thing that mattered most. The real cost isn't always written in dollars. Sometimes it's written in cold nights and gray mornings instead. So here's my question for you. If you had to pick, would you take $1,000 a month through a damp Hanoi winter, or $1,500 a month under the warm sun in Da Nang? Tell me your honest answer in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you've lived through your own version of this, in Hanoi or anywhere else, I really want to hear it. And if you're seriously planning a move like this, I've put together everything I wish someone had told me before I booked that very first flight, visa timing included. The link is right below this video.